Hi everyone, welcome to the channel dedicated to sharing the profound insights and wisdom of Andromedan Contactee Alex Collier. If you're new here, you're in for a journey that expands your mind and consciousness, bringing you closer to understanding the messages from the fifth density Andromedan extraterrestrials. For those returning, we're grateful for your continued support. Before we dive into today's enlightening content, we have a small favor to ask. If you find value in the knowledge shared in this video, please consider hitting that like button, subscribing to our channel, and clicking the bell icon so you never miss an update. Your engagement helps us amplify Alex Collier's message, allowing us to reach a larger audience with these vital messages. We'd also love to hear from you, so please engage with the comments below. Whether it's a question, your thoughts, or even just an emoji for the sake of engagement, every comment counts. We read every single comment, and your feedback is incredibly valuable to us, as it all contributes to our mission of expanding this community. So please don't hesitate to leave your thoughts below. Additionally, if you'd like to support us further, consider giving a super thanks tip by clicking the heart with the $sign. This small gesture allows us to continue bringing you more of Alex's messages, unfiltered and directly from his lifelong experiences with the Andromedans. Today's video includes a compilation of several of the many important questions Alex Collier has received over the past few years, so please sit back, relax, and enjoy today's video.
Do the A's know the full history of how we have been manipulated physically, mentally, and spiritually over time? How have they come to reach their impression of us? How do they conduct their research on us?
Okay, well, the answer to the first question is yes. Again, they're not the only ones. I have shared that there have been some contacts where I was on board Mornay's ship and there were others there. I could only see parts of them through my peripheral vision, but I knew they were there. I could feel them, but I could not actually turn and see them myself. That's because they're sixth density beings. That's what I was told. I wasn't given any more information than that, other that they are one of the mentoring groups that mentor the fifth dimensional A's, the Zenitaeans. There have been similar when I was on the mothership, the exact same scenario, where they would be observing. So now there are other star families, other star groups, those in fourth, those in fifth, and we know sixth, because I've shared that with you, and I know the Pleiadians are also mentored by sixth dimensional beings, the fifth dimensional P's. They have mentors from sixth. And I'm going to assume some of the other groups are being mentored by beings on fifth, those are fourth, that are part of the benevolent groups. You know, everybody pretty much has a mentor who gives them a perspective, an unvarnished view of where the civilization is and where it's going. And that's always good because, you know, the minute a civilization starts to believe its own press, they're lost. They're lost. So it's always good to have an objective voice or view from someone who is objective to come down and say, hey, there's issues here and there's issues here. You're straying from your path that you shared or your forefathers had. Is this being done intentionally? And for what reason? Why are you diverting your path? Sometimes we don't know. Sometimes we're being tricked, dark magic, and led into a different path or a way of living. And it's done so gradually we don't even realize until we're down the road and we're like, whoa, what happened? How the hell did we get here? And by then it's usually too late. So that's why they have these mentors. See, we've not had that benefit here until very recently, because they've been locked out and we've been locked down by this regressive group. But since the benevolents have shown up and have begun talking to a specific portion of our space fleet, that mentoring has begun and it's in full swing. And I don't know to what extent it's expanding. But it's involved, and it now involves other races as well, benevolent races. And it will be those who represent the genetic lineages on the planet. Oh my God, I just had a senior moment. I forgot the original question.
Just coming. Do the A's know the full story of how we've been manipulated physically, mentally, and how have they come to reach their impression of us, and how do they conduct their research on us?
Well, I mean, I've shared their perspective of us for 30 years. You know, just for the A's, their specific technology is a holographic camera or device. And they can take a picture of anything, and within that picture is, and I know it's very, very good for the lower densities or dimensions. So they'll take a picture, let's say Earth, and they can tune it to, let's say, 10,000 years. Inside that picture will be 10,000 years. And inside that one picture, they can remove portions or slides of that holographic photograph, which is a continuum of time, and they can pull out specific things, specific events, and then they can literally create a holograph, a reholograph of those events, and watch it themselves to know exactly how it went down and who it was that did this or did that, or which groups. So they have everything. It's like the ultimate forensic technology, because all they have to do is take that piece of evidence, film or holograph, take it to, let's say, a galactic court and say, okay, here's the evidence that they imprisoned humanity on this particular planet and genocided a specific bloodline. Here it is. And then they will show it. They'll show the whole thing. Many other races have very similar technology, and they are, in fact, comparing notes. And, you know, this has been going on for quite some time, which is why I have told you in the past, and I'm going to mention it again, they know exactly who this group is. They know exactly that they've been looking for this group for quite some time, that they have been doing this on other planets and in other solar systems, what they've done to us, because they have the holographic evidence that it's the same group, the same cast of characters that have been doing this shit over and over and over again. So that's how they know. Yes, they know the history. We're going to know who actually killed Kennedy. We're actually going to know how the assassination of Abraham Lincoln actually took place, because they have the technology to literally show that. We will actually know for a fact that the presentation at Muroc Air Force Base to President Eisenhower and his staff showing the crucifixion of Christ, that it actually wasn't Christ. But we're going to know who that was. We're going to know who that individual was. We're going to know, yeah, we're going to know a lot of stuff. Some of it will be irrelevant to us now, be available to humanity. So historians, future historians, who will take all of the rubbish that we have today, which we call history, and they will actually write the accurate, true history of not only humanity, but the planet itself by using extraterrestrial archives. Boom. Boom. So it may not be us, but it definitely will be future generations. They will have all that information. But we will have been instrumental in making sure that this all comes about. By making this leap, by holding the light, by doing everything we can to unite humanity, to get across this bridge, this cavern of pain and suffering that humanity has had to endure from the very beginning of its creation. Yeah, it's going to happen. It's definitely going to happen. I mean, they're already talking about it. They are already talking about this. But that's down the road. First, introductions. First, there is establishing trust, communication, and trust. And once that's occurred, now, Looking Glass, much of the information that's been presented to the White Hats, they are using a piece of technology, which some call Looking Glass. There may be other pieces of technology that they have that we don't know anything about yet, where they're going and they're doing their best to verify the information that they've been given. And this is all part of the protocols of establishing trust. Okay, you say this, let's take a look. And then they use their own technology to do the best they can to verify. If there's a piece, if there's a place where our technology is limited and we can't go in and see specifically that experience or that event, then they will come back and other additional information is presented. And maybe there's something, they go to a point in the past that in the future of that event where that information is available so that we can verify it. So the building of trust is already going on behind the scenes, you see. It has to be. Otherwise, we wouldn't have gotten this far. We're going to be okay. We are definitely going to be okay. But there are some rough patches, and there is no damn way to sugarcoat it. There just isn't, but we get through them. We do. There is going to be a great deal of emotional upheaval as this information is coming out. But folks, it has to. It has to. We have to shift our consciousness. And in shifting our consciousness, we have to leave behind the idea that we're victims and empower ourselves to take control of our destiny. And the best way to do that is to point out that we have been victims, but we have been addicted to victimhood. And once we leave that behind, we empower ourselves to responsible freedom of self-determination, to unconditionally be responsible for ourselves without being coerced by some higher authority. That's the ultimate goal of humanity. And we are being encouraged to get there as soon as possible. But emotionally, humanity has been sent backwards. So as we emotionally become stronger, more information will be coming. And, even though we might be emotionally super strong, supermen, some of the things that we're going to be shown about what's happened to humanity, what's been happening to our kids, that's going to be painful. It's just going to be painful. And seeing how that all went down is the painful part. The rage is going to come from who of our own kind facilitated all of that suffering. That's where the rage is going to come from. Because that's a betrayal. Huge, huge betrayal. And it is what it is.
Hi, Alex. I know in the past you have mentioned mentoring and what it would look like to be mentored by an ET race. When you had your first contact with the A's, what were your first lessons? Can you speak a bit about how your first meeting went and what kind of teaching was involved in first contact? What did it entail?
Well, that would be when I was taken on board the ship when I was up in Michigan. Boy. What I remember that I took away from that very first meeting was that I, as a soul, had many different lifetimes. Many of those lifetimes were not on this planet, and they were with other people that I knew in that room. That's the first thing. 2, I realized that I was an eternal soul, and that was something they wanted me to understand and to acknowledge. That's what they wanted to acknowledge to me. And that I had been part of their soul family for many, many lifetimes. And that the reason where I was before I became attached to Earth was with them in the constellation of Andromeda, in the Zenithal system, on the 9th planet there. That's where I was before I became attached to Earth. They also wanted me to know, which is the reason for pulling out the monitors and showing me these different scenes of my lifetime, that I did many different types of things, that I was many different types of personages, but I always remained myself. My core, my soul, my essence always remained the same. That I chose to wear different masks in different lifetimes to learn different experiences. Some good, some not. You learn to empower yourself and you learn to abuse your power. Those are all lessons that we all have learned. And the last thing that I walked away from there was them telling me that they would be with me throughout this lifetime, and that there would be periods where I would not see them, that I would question whether they were real or not, and that if I chose to teach what they were going to share with me, that would be entirely up to me. And that many people very directly close to me, intimate with me, would never know this was going on unless I shared that with them. And they were going to do it in this way so that it would not interfere in any way with their own personal growth. Because even though I may have been in an intimate relationship with some of these, or had a very deep friendship, it was not their place to alter their own spiritual path, and they were not going to. The relationship was strictly between me and them, until it was deemed appropriate to make it fully public. In other words, to manifest physical evidence and things of that nature. And I tested that, man. I tested that right off the bat. I did. I tested that right off the bat. I told my mom about it right off the bat, and oh shit, that did not go well. That did not go well at all. God bless her. But I had a learning curve, and I took some detours. I did. But like I've always said, you learn what works by learning what doesn't work. And the only way to know that is to screw up, right? That's how you learn what doesn't work. So that's a good question. You're the first person to ask me that question. After all these years, you're the first person to ask me that. There's probably more, which I don't remember. I was just 8 years old, and I was in awe. I was just in awe. And it was cool. It was cool. It really was cool. Yep. Looking down onto Michigan from the sky. That's the first time I'd been in the air, I think. I think that was the first time I was ever in the air. It was cool. It was really, really cool. And then I talked to my mother, and reality hit. So, life goes on, right? Okay, JP, next question, please.
Very interesting. By the way, at that time, were you interested in things like science fiction programs and stuff like that?
No, I was into sports, fishing, riding my bike. Always watched the stars as a kid. But it was mostly sports, and I used to go fishing a lot with my stepdad at the time, catching bugs and lizards and corn snakes in the cornfield across the street from where we lived. Just being a kid. Just being a kid. Catching big bullfrogs and bringing them home, saying, "Can we keep them?" Get that out of our house. Things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Bringing home stray kittens and puppies. Yeah, just being a kid.
Hi, Alex. I'm wondering how to imagine the fifth dimension. Is it a state of being or awareness? A different place? Will the awakened people with high frequency going to a different place and leave the people with lower frequency behind on Earth? Or will everyone stay here on Earth but won't actually be able to see each other because of the different frequency? Could you explain this? Thank you.
When I go aboard the ship and they put the belt on me, I am literally in fifth density. No one down here would ever see me. They would never know where I had even gone, had I ever been allowed to stay. And for the record, I did work that. I did. I worked that to death. So I came back because I didn't work it good enough. I came back, and then, of course, I'm now a third density being. My understanding is not everyone's going to make the transition. Now, do people stay on third? If they do, I'm not sure how long that would be, because my understanding is that at some point, third density implodes, and the foundational dimension would be 4. So does everyone that doesn't transition to 5th, do they stay on 3rd until that implosion, or do they go to 4th? I simply do not know the answer to that question. Many years ago, I asked literally about how many people would move from 3rd through 4th to 5th with Earth. And I was told somewhere between roughly 400 and 430 million souls would make that transition. I do not know what happens to the rest or what their journey's going to be. But those of us who are soul, that have soul, we will continue on the journey. Obviously, all of us do. There are soulless beings on this planet. There are. They're obviously not going to make it. They're just going to die. We have a lot of spiritual realms on this planet where we have people who have died and crossed over, but they haven't gone to the light. They're living around us, siphoning energy from the living. Ghosts, for lack of a better word. I'm not sure what's going to happen to them either. I would assume that they probably will physically manifest on 4th density. Or will be incarnated into a physical form. Now, about the physicality part, DNA structure is different on 4th, DNA structure is different on 5th, different on 6th, 7th, 8th, etc. Because of the frequencies. The band of frequencies are much bigger. Therefore, the DNA structure cannot remain the same. So the physicality is different. The frequency bands are higher and faster. They're also more broad. So the physicality is different. So for those who will walk this journey from 3rd to 4th to 5th, their bodies will go through transition into light. Now, on 3rd density, if you're a 4th density being, you're basically looking at a greater light body. For those on 4th, talking to someone on 5th or visibly seeing someone on 5th, you are seeing They're a light body, a bigger light body, more of a light body than you would on fourth. I mean, we look at this body here in third density as flesh, but in reality, under an electron microscope, it's light. We are light. Our bodies are still light. Dave and Sandy Lear sent me something of a 20-minute clip of a young lady Oracle Girl, I think she calls herself. Very, very profound stuff. And if Dave's on here, maybe he could let everybody know in the chat where to find her. I believe she calls herself Oracle Girl. Really profound stuff. And the clip that they sent, she's addressing the body. And it was extremely timely, and I know there's no coincidence. But there's information out there. Those who walk this path, that 400 million, 430 million, maybe it's going to be 500 million now, I don't know. Or a billion, I simply don't know, because so many things have changed over the years. So many people are getting it, you know? But the body will transition with the light, with the dimension. Others will have to start over. That's my understanding of how this works.
Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you found it insightful, please like the video, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel and click the bell icon so you don't miss out on future updates. If you have any questions relating to today's video, please also leave them below. We read all the comments and take on board what our viewers have to say about Alex Collier's work. Remember, your support helps Alex Collier's knowledge and the messages from the Andromedans reach more people. If you'd like to support the channel even more, you can give us a super thanks tip by clicking the heart icon with a $sign. It really helps our team bring you more content. Also, be sure to visit alexcollier.org to sign up for our regular email newsletter. It's the best way to stay updated with the latest news, exclusive content, and upcoming live webinars. For the latest insights from Alex Collier, check out alexcollier.live. And if you want to explore over 250 past webinars, head over to alexcollier.tv. Thank you for being a part of this journey and supporting Alex Collier's work. We couldn't do this without you, and we're genuinely grateful for your support. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the vast mysteries of our universe. If you would like to see the Andromedan Contactee Alex Collier live via video stream, we hold a live online seminar every Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. For more information on upcoming live webinars, please visit alexcollier.org.